Welcome to We Don't Have Cookies with your host, Jason Marshall.
Hey everybody, thanks for downloading the show. I don't think I've talked about this in the last few episodes, but we are still in the months of Jason. For those of you who are new to the show, the months of Jason are July, August, September, October, and November because the first letters of those months spell my name. October is crossover October. In the next two episodes, I'll be talking to people who will be having me on as a guest on their podcasts, all leading up to the Halloween episode. I was planning on having a legendary wrestler and my backup bailiff for the martial law episodes on the podcast, Sid Vicious. He was going to be here today, but something came up. He wasn't able to make it this week. So the episode's going to be a little shorter than I was expecting, and I'm sorry it's late, but pretty sure he'll be on either next week or sometime in November. We have a lot to talk about. But joining me right now is the host of the Comedy A Go-Go podcast, comedian Dave Nelson. Dave, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I feel like it's a letdown. You say bailiff, sheriff, whatever it is, and then it's like, here's Dave.
No, not at all. Not at all. Dave, the last time you were on the show, you were talking about stepping away from comedy. That doesn't seem to have lasted long because you're back. How's it feel to be on stage again?
It's good. I think I like to say I took a sabbatical. I was in the do I need to quit? And how I got back is I got asked to do a show by a friend. It's like, what's one show going to do? And if I don't enjoy it, I tried it and I can step away from it. But I did it and I'm like, I really just went in with a better attitude, had a really good time on stage. I'm like, all right, I just need to prioritize things a little bit differently, create more balance in my life and not focus just on that.
You're going to be driving up from Georgia to be at the podcast meetup on March 2nd in Columbus, Ohio. I'm looking forward to meeting you.
Yes, I am. Luckily, I have family that lives over in Dayton, so I'll be staying close by, so it's working out.
I've talked to you, I don't know how many times you've been on the podcast and I've been on yours, but this will be the first time in person, so it's going to be a lot of fun.
I think it's the cool part about this. When I started doing my podcast, a really long time ago, it seems, when I go to cities and I meet people that have been guests on my podcast, it's cool. It's like, you feel like you know that person ahead of time. So it's not that kind of weird, like, cause you get some of their quirks and who they are beforehand.
Well, speaking of going to cities and things being cool, there's one city in Virginia that is completely uncool and they are giving potential jail time for trick-or-treaters who are over the age of 12. That's in Chesapeake, Virginia.
It seems like law enforcement could be spending their time doing better things.
I'm wondering if they're setting up houses where there's just undercover cops or something.
It's like a sting operation.
Exactly.
And it's going to be like a local TV, like one of those people who's like, I'm fighting for you. It's like, kids are out trick-or-treating and getting candy.
They have trick-or-treat checkpoints like the DUI checkpoints.
Yeah, looking for IDs. But
these kids can get fined up to $25 to $100 and 6 months in jail.
Where is this at again?
Chesapeake, Virginia.
Yeah, man. I wonder how many people are going to get busted for that, though.
I don't know. That'll be interesting. I thought about trying to contact somebody there and seeing what the scoop is. I might ask Rhoda Young to get on that. She's over in Virginia. Maybe that's something she wants to look into.
She could be your eye in the sky.
Exactly. They also have another law that trick-or-treating after 8 p.m., you can get hit with a $10 to $100 fine and possibly up to 30 days in jail.
It seems like these laws are created by like Buzz Killingtons who just like who brag about like back in my day, and then they just take all the fun out of being a kid or a teenager or a college student.
Yeah, it seems a little extreme, and the only people that are really going to be suffering as far as the fines go are the parents, and you can't blame them for wanting the kids to be out of the house. So
No. That's why I guess. Oh, I won't go there. I'll just hush.
You have a special episode of your podcast coming out this week. I got to listen to it in advance. I really like it. It's very different from your usual format. You want to tell the listeners a little bit about that?
Yeah, thanks for having me on to talk about it. I'm kind of excited about it. It's and I talk about this in the episode. You heard kind of like what motivated me to do it. So I just heard some other podcasts, and it really kind of got me thinking. And we've talked in the past. You've made some changes to yours because you get bored with the format. You want to do something different. You want to challenge yourself. So I was thinking I love comedy. I would do something of it. But what are some of the historical moments? What are people who were historical that maybe get overlooked or forgotten, and some super famous? And you hear these references as, I want to be the next Carlin, I want the Lenny Bruce, but not know why they got to the status that they got to. So I'm doing like super produced. I don't know. I say super produced, so it makes it sound super slick. I know it's not that, but I focus in on like an instant, like the first one's on the 7 dirty words and the history of it. I just kind of break it down and I look at the impact just that one 7-10 minute bit had when it was done in 1973, and then how it still carries weight to this very day.
It's a great episode. I encourage everybody to go check that out.
Thank you. And that is unsolicited. I wanted to send you a sneak peek because it was fun to do, because I'm an academic, so I got to do the researching element. So when people would come into my office, I'm like, yes, I'm supposed to be watching this video right now. It's for research. It was just it's a puzzle piece. It was just like putting something together, the flow on it. So it's something I'm going to do regularly, like maybe every other month, every 3 months, to do it, because if you've ever listened to the Cocaine Rhinestones podcast or the Dana Gould Hour, it takes a lot of time and effort to put those together, particularly if you're putting research and production value into it.
Well, I want to thank you for being on the podcast today. Is there anything you'd like to promote before you go?
If you are in the Gainesville, Florida area, the cool thing about that gig that I did last month, it got me in front of, unknowingly, so listen, you never know who you're performing in front of, so do your best, kiddos, is the booker for this thing called Fest, which is like a big kind of like punk rock festival that happens every year in Gainesville, Florida, the weekend when Georgia and Florida are playing in Jacksonville, Florida. So instead of sports people, it's punk rockers, and I'm going to get to perform on that. 27th if you go to Fest 17, look it up. Boom, I'm there. I'm pretty excited about that. I think I'm performing like at 11:30 or something on the 27th at one of the 500 million venues.
Well, thanks again for being on the show. Last week, Frankie MacDonald debuted on the show as a guest for the first time after I've been playing his audio from the weather reports he's made since 2015. He had so much fun, he decided to be on again this week too. So after the break, I'll play a quick interview with Frankie.
When I was young, I was a punk. A pogo dance till I blew chunks. The class of pistols, the Ramones. The safety pin right through my nose. I used to fight the power. Now I wait a half an hour after I eat to go in the pool, 'cause the cramps make me uncomfortable. Oh, not much of a punk rocker now. Not much of a punk rocker, no. Not much of a punk rocker, man. I used to be pretty damn cool. Flipping the bird and skipping school. Always fought back and never took crap. Now I just like to take a nap. He's tired. How I looked, it never mattered. All my jeans are torn and tattered. Now I care about how I'm dressing when I drive the girls to ballet lessons. Oh, not much of a punk rocker now. Not much of a punk rocker, no. Not much of a punk rocker, man. Used to be full of piss and vinegar. Now I like movies with Renee Zellweger. I don't have no anarchist manifesto, just a really great recipe for pesto. Oh, not much of a punk rocker now. Not much of a punk rocker. How did I get so lame? What the hell happened to me? Punk rock gives me a headache. Now I sing along to Justin Timberlake. Not much of a punk rocker now. Not much of a punk rocker, no. Not much of a punk rocker, man.
With me right now is the podcast weatherman, Frankie MacDonald. How you doing, Frankie?
I'm doing great so far.
What's the weather going to be like this week?
It's going to be a warm air and cool air battling each other in the eastern seaboard of the United States, including New York and New Jersey. Because the warm air and cool air fighting each other once again in the second half of October, there'll be series of low-pressure systems coming up to the east coast of the United States.
Sounds like there's going to be a lot going on with the low pressure and the high pressure battling each other out. What does that normally lead to?
That means that this is a transition period from summer to winter.
What's your favorite kind of storm to track? What's the thing that interests you the most?
Like the hurricanes and Midwestern snowstorms, like blizzards that hit Wisconsin, Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas, and places like Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, and all these places, and up around Maryland, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, West Virginia, and Georgia, and all across the eastern seaboard of the United States. Big rainstorms for Southern California.
Halloween's coming up. It's right around the corner. What's your favorite costume?
My favorite costume is a vampire.
Oh, nice.
I did a lot of vampire videos on YouTube.
And people can go check those out at youtube.com/dogsandwolves. I encourage you guys to go subscribe. There's a lot of good stuff over there. Is there anything...
To my YouTube channel, Dogs and Wolves. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it's at Frankie MacD. If you want to follow me on Facebook, it's Frankie MacD 1984. That's my fan page. And it's Frankie MacDonald Facebook page. And then if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's Frankie MacD 1984. That's my Instagram.
That was going to be my last question. I was going to ask if there's anything else you would like to promote before you go, but I know it sounds like a lot already, but you also have shirts and you have bobbleheads out. Where can people find those?
You have to go to National Bobbleheads Hall of Fame website and talk in Frankie MacDonald Bobbleheads on National Bobbleheads Hall of Fame website in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. People can order a talk in Frankie MacDonald Bobblehead on National Bobbleheads Hall of Fame. If you want to order a Frankie MacDonald action figure, go to www.frankieactionfigure.com and Amazon.com and Amazon.ca.
I'm going to take a quick break, and I'll be back.
Hey, I'm Ken Shamrock, the world's most dangerous man. You're listening to We Don't Have Cookies.
G'day, Beej here from the BS Pod and also newpodworldorder.com. Did you know real dinosaurs were not used in Jurassic Park?
Want to contact the show? Send an email to jason@wedon'thavecookies.com or call 929-266-9342 and leave a voicemail.
If you saw my tweet about Sid Vicious being on the podcast this week, I apologize again for that not happening. I spoke to him today and he wants to do it, but he's pretty busy. He told me he'll try his best to be on as soon as possible, but I've reached out to a couple of other people just in case, so either way, it's going to be a fun episode next week. The week after that will be the Halloween episode. I'll be talking to comedian Mike Brody. He is the official event comedian for the Sci-Fi Channel's TV show Ghost Hunters, and you may have heard him on the Bob and Tom Show or the Dan Patrick Show on the radio. I will also be recapping some of the weird things that have happened around my house since I bought it and what the paranormal investigators found when they were here. Speaking of haunted places, Mike Brody will be performing at the haunted Renwick Mansion in Davenport, Iowa this Sunday. If you live in the area, go check that out. It sounds like a lot of fun. He'll also be at the Looney Bin Comedy Club in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, Thursday through Saturday if you live around there. The podcast meetup on March 2nd keeps getting better. Longtime frequent guest Mike Canistero has agreed to be there. He'll be taking part in the podcast recording and stand-up show. He also agreed to donate some of his books that he's written and physical copies of a stand-up album to be raffled off. The cartoonist that did the cover art for the podcast will be there doing caricatures of whoever wants one. I also talked to a guest I had on not too long ago, Elena Davies, and she said that if her boyfriend and another former guest, Mark Jansen, goes to the same event that Dan Severn will be in town for that weekend called the Arnold Classic, that they will stop by as well. Another former guest, rapper Mission Man, said he'll try to be there to perform a few songs. There is plenty of time between now and then to save your money and make arrangements to be there. I really hope I see you. I went in for my consultation with the surgeon today for the issue with my back. I could not have asked for a better experience. Everybody there was extremely nice. The surgeon even went out of his way to get my surgery scheduled as quickly as possible. I'll be having that done next Tuesday. It was my first time there, but they made me feel like I've been going there my whole life. So a big shout out to the people at Scion Medical Center. I want to thank my guests Dave Nelson and Frankie MacDonald for being on the show today. I'll be back next Monday.
Thanks for listening. Tell your friends about the show and leave a review. See you next time.
So when people would come into my office, I'm like, yes, I'm supposed to be watching this video right now. It's for research.